Evening all, and welcome to episode 47 of Kerbalism. I'm here at Kinesia Station because there's something I want to do, and I'm trying to justify it to myself and obviously to you, the viewers, as well, just to make sure that I'm not. It's something I want to do a little bit. I want to replace Kinesia Station with another version of itself, but one that has parts welded together to help my frame rate. I have managed to get the frame rate a bit better. You can see here this is just flashing yellow rather than staying yellow all the time. In the settings to Kerbalism, to Kerbal Space Program, there's an option called Maximum Physics Delta Time. It's set by default to 0.04, and I've turned it up to 0.1. So what it basically does is how it tells this system how long it's allowed to take before it can fix the physics, before it can do a physics tick. Bit weird getting into the back of it and understanding how Unity does stuff, which is the game engine Kerbalism is made on. But basically at 0.04, it means that it can only travel 0.04 of a second before it has to do physics calculation. So if it hasn't done them in that time, it will pause the game to do the calculations and then continue the game again. That causes it to slow down and cause lots of lag when you have lots of high parts. By changing the physics delta time up, it means that it can wait longer before doing each physics tick, so it doesn't have to do them as often and the game plays smoother. The drawback to it is that you can have physics errors. If you set it too high, you can have parts clip into each other, then the game realises they're into each other and you get explosions. Things will go wrong and it's not a good thing. Ideally, you should have it on the lowest setting you possibly can. You should have it at 0.01. But that causes this clock up here to pretty much be yellow all the time and your frame rates to slow down. Launching, well, something like this at the lowest delta time, it would be basically watching a slideshow rather than getting some form of frame rate here. But there is a mod that can help with that. Let's see if I can pronounce this correctly. Ubiozor Welding Limited Continued. It's a mod that was made originally by a user called Ubiozor, and he's given up working on it, and it's been taken over by Alex WX and Gurka2K, I believe. Yes, those two there. And what it does is, I think I've explained this before, it allows you to take sort of these parts, these 5 tanks here, and weld them into one tank. It will still have the same amount of storage, the same mass, the same everything, but it would just be one part. Because right now, this station is 352 parts. Some of that are these ships here. You can see we've got a broken RCS thruster there, and I didn't send an engineer up. Ironic. But yeah, I think each one of these is about 25-ish parts, so there's 50 parts there, and there's probably about a dozen or a dozen parts on each one of these, so another 20, so about 75 parts can be taken away for that. That still puts this at 275 parts ish. So yeah, it's a high part count. It's a lot, and if I was to weld some of these together and weld sort of these, like the batteries here, that's obviously each one of these sections is 5 parts. So there's 4 batteries and the container. So 5, 10, 15, 20 to 25 parts just there. And I could weld that all into being one part, which runs faster. So that's the idea. The issue with it I'm having is obviously if I do that, I would either have to launch the station again, which would be awkward because it would be essentially one part rather than... the station wouldn't be one part, but there'd be more large parts rather than having individual ones that I can clip together. So I could either launch it, or I could cheat it into space, which is probably the easier way to do it and most likely the way I will do it. But I'm trying to find a way to justify it that I'm not gaining anything doing it. That's what I don't want to do. I don't want to gain anything doing it apart from gain some frame rate, because this is slow and I don't like it. So let me show you the other station. And And here we are with Kinesia Station 2, the slightly remodeled version. It is slightly different in places. Obviously these fuel tanks here are completely different design to the other ones, but still just 4 of them. Our greenhouses here obviously have been stood up. I've chose to put them up like that because it made a bit more sense. And I've got rid of a few other little things like the end port here. This is our launch pad now, but it's not got the end flat piece there. It's done. And our docking port is on the end rather than on the central frame here. I moved them to the end because it just made more sense than having so many docking ports there to do with it. But the big thing about this over the original station that we have in orbit is this station as it stands is only 64 parts. That's because this section in the center, that's 1 part. All these outputs there in that central column with the 2 reaction wheels, that's 1 part, and we've duplicated that over here. Exactly the same part there. These tanks, that's all 1 part with the 2 little fairings on the end, I suppose, just to make it look nice. That's the 1 part. The batteries are 1 part. The fuel tanks down here are 1 part, so it makes life easier. And the storage containers here, the food containers, they're 1 part and they still work fine, as you can see there. I couldn't do the solar panels as 1 part. These are all individual still, because if you link them all up together, when you go extend solar panels, 1 extends and the rest don't. It's a limitation with the welding thing. It doesn't work with solar panels, engines, bearings, and things like control surfaces for planes. You shouldn't weld them. So yeah, but everything else is individual. These are individual here. I could have probably done something with them, but nope, chose that was fine. I haven't put anything on the top or bottom of these because I thought if we get any large docking ports, they could go there. That would make more sense. The workshop here and the metal bay underneath, they are again, they're 1 part. Although I've got 2 metal bays there, I've just realised, and only rocket parts in there. Okay, that's a slight mistake. 1 of them should be rocket parts, 1 should be metal. But oh well, doesn't matter. The metal, the rocket parts can be stored in there. Metal can be turned to rocket parts quite easily. That's fine. Yeah, that's about it. The idea that I would have if I did replace, I'm probably going to replace the station with this version because it is. I know it's cheating. It is cheating. I'll admit that it is, but it will severely help with the gameplay. Even with that change of the maximum physics delta time, it'll just be easier to have this sort of thing here. But obviously, we've got to add the 2 pods to this. They're 25-ish points each, so that's going to be another 50 points added to that, as well as the tugs, which I haven't got anywhere for the tugs to go at the moment, but there we can find somewhere. I'm sure they can go here. I put these different docking ports at the end there, the K and K ones on either end, just in case we ever use them for something. We haven't so far, but we've got them. When I put this up there, the idea will be that I will have all the resources that are here exactly the same as what is currently on Kinesia Station. So we won't be gaining anything. Everything will be exactly the same here, to the best of my abilities, to what is currently up there. We will actually be losing something because the farms are obviously going to start from scratch. They're going to be brand new. And I think one of the farms up there only has 16 days left before we can harvest it again. So could wait for that one to go. The other one's 120 something days. So but we'll be losing that time there. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it. To level all the resources up means that I'm not really gaining anything, and it will feel a little less cheaty. It's a cheat, but it's done for game mechanics. So yeah, it's that's where I'm going to go. So yes, that's this would be the front station because that's where the greenhouses are pointing. I think yes, the greenhouses point this way. So yeah, that's what I think I'm going to do. Tick this a little bit, swap it around with the other one. Going to be a lot of save file editing and stuff there, I think, because getting these numbers right is going to be a bit of a pain, but it's doable. So I'll do that off camera and get it all up there, and I will come back not when it's been replaced. We're going to go off and do some contracts first, I think. We do need some money before we get anything done, because we are broke still. So I think it's time to take a trip out to get some science from around the moon. We just need to do orbit for that. And a few other little contracts just to try and fill up our funds so we can unlock the research centre and finally get them damn drills we've been after. And here we are back in mission control. I have completed one contract already. That was to gather science from around Kerbal, which was really easy. I just did that on this station and broadcast it back to Kerbal. But we've got some contracts here that I've taken. We've had this one to build a new surface outpost on the moon. That's going to give us a fair bit of money. Position a satellite in a specific orbit around the moon. That's possible. And gather science data from around the moon. That's also possible. We could in theory do all three of those in one launch. We also got one to position a satellite in equatorial orbit around Kerbal, which could tag along for the ride. But I would have to build something that can do a antenna, has a docking port, can generate power, have facilities supporting 12 Kerbals, that's a lot, and 5,000 units of power. That's all doable. Maintain stability. Well, if you're on the surface, you're going to be pretty stable, hopefully. But that is actually doable. I think with the current technology we have, I can easily build an outpost that could do that. And yeah, let's see if we can maybe build one ship and complete 4 contracts in one go. And this is the crazy contraption that's hopefully gonna do it all for us. It's bit of a weird design. I've put all this down the bottom. This is where the 12 Kerbals will live, along with their energy requirements there. I've put it down the bottom because if it goes on top, it's going to be aerodynamically unstable, fall over, crash and burn, cause all sorts of problems, and we don't want that. So I've put it at the bottom and raised the engines up. I'm hoping that these are going to miss they're not going to set fire to these pods down here. I'm not entirely sure whether it will or not. I hope not, but we will find out. I've got the 2 probes under here, one for orbit of Kerbal, one for orbit of the moon, and I'm really hoping all this will get into orbit, and then there's a little engine under here for insertion to the moon and orbiting the moon, breaking into orbit for the moon. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I'm not sure whether this can do it or not. So we, I suppose, should launch it and find out, shall we? So here we are in orbit with our craft. Gravity Turn doing a nice wonderful job of getting us here. I've set up a manoeuvre that would go to the moon, but firstly we need to boost up to here, drop off one of the probes, and then boost up further to the moon. That's because we obviously need to drop off one of the probes here because this is the orbit it needs to take, and it doesn't have enough fuel to get there on its own, so we'll drop it off halfway and then carry on boosting up to the moon as it was. I think what I'm actually going to do is not do that, that would be stupid. Do that. Get ourselves up so we actually oh dear. There we are, we've got a nice encounter with the moon there. And I'll just boost up to this orbit here, release the probe, and then carry on going up there because obviously I'll need to be facing the correct direction. This is slow to turn. It does have one reaction wheel sort of hidden in between these two here. squash it down in there. But it's slow, bulky. Not really surprising, considering it's not probably the most aerodynamic craft in the world. But then, well, space doesn't really worry about aerodynamics. So let's go round to our manoeuvre, which is in one complete orbit time, and boost ourselves up to where we need to go and drop one of these probes off. And here we are with our apparatus up at the orbit we need. So let's decouple one of these here, decouple you, and we'll just use the RCS to push that away a bit and move it to one side because we don't want to crash back into it. Over you go. Well, we can leave that on its wonderful orbit there. That'll be going where it needs to go. Back to this craft here, and we now need to boost up all the way to the moon, which shouldn't really be a great deal. What have I done there? There we are. Oh, there we are. I had the little stack decoupler targeted. So, okay, there we go. We're at the moon. That was a lot quicker than I expected. But anyway, there we are, 73k around the moon, and we've still got a lot of fuel left. I'm impressed at how little fuel this is actually used. So I had expected to have to slow down with this little engine here and the fuel in there, and then use the fuel that's inside these pods here to land this. There are no Kerbals on board. It's just going down to there. It does have life support, a little one there for life support, so it could take some Kerbals if it needs to. I thought it would be a good start for the moon base, but I need to have a look at the moon to find out where to land. I know we sort of scouted the South Pole, but I'm wondering if somewhere else around the equator might be better for getting the resources with the drills, because this could go there and we can send the drills later. But yes, so for now we're going to head over to the moon. In fact, we're going to head over with the other probe and orbit that, and then head to the moon and hopefully complete all our contracts in one go. So I will see you when we get there. So here we are at 5,000 kilometers, and unfortunately we're not going to get the mission done because I made a boo-boo. This antenna is not long enough to communicate with Kerbal. We've come out to here and lost control. So even when we get to the periapse, I cannot fire the engine because I've got no control of the craft whatsoever. So yes, that one's going to unfortunately be a failure. But oh well, I shall relaunch these at some point with some better probes. So anyway, let's go over to our core and get to the moon and see if we can maybe... I think we might be able to do the probe with that one because it can relay around to some other things that are here. So yeah, this one sadly is bust. So I've just hit accelerated time to be in the sphere of influence of the moon, and have received a message saying that our moon probe, moon-based core probe, one we detached earlier on down there, has signal again. It's bouncing off one of these relays here from the moon back to Kerbal. So we can switch back to it, and by the miracle, just before it's got to the maneuver node that I need to do, I can actually recontrol the probe. I can spin it around, point it where it needs to go, and actually get the mission done. So that's pretty fantastic. That's very, very useful that it's just come up at the right time. So yeah, we may actually, with a stroke of luck, get all the missions done in one go. And there we are at the correct sort of orbit. All the boxes are ticked, maintain stability for 10 seconds, job done, contract complete, money in the bank. So thank you very much, relays on the moon. That was fantastic. Now let's go back to our moon core and hopefully I can stop it in time. And there we are in orbit of the moon. It's not quite low enough to be exactly what we want for the probe, but I've run out of fuel. I've burnt all the fuel up on that stage there, so it's time to drop the tanks off from the side. We need to decouple that one there, and also drop the tanks off from this one here, which I now can't do because apparently I don't have any contact, which is a little odd considering I have this here. But well, I suppose for the moment what we'll do is we'll go to this little core probe here, and we will, well, we'll have to wait for another whole orbit before we can do this. We need to set our orbit to be the correct size, like, oh, like that. So there we go. Starting out with the maneuver node, we have to do a whole orbit and then fire 182 meters a second, which is difficult to know with these engines because even when you set these to be activated via the throttle, you don't actually get an estimation. It doesn't know how they work, so that's generally going to be a fire about 2 minutes before we're at the maneuver and hope for the best that we'll get there. So yeah, but more importantly, I need to find out why I've lost control of this. Not that, this. We do have a relay antenna on board. We've got a probe core there. It's apparently got no signal, which is very, very odd. I'm wondering if it is just literally because we don't have any line of sight with Kerbal, whether it can't be relayed. Does just come across as very, very strange though, to be honest with you. But anyway, let's accelerate time round, shall we? Let's do that. Round and round we go. And there you go. Now we have direct link with Kerbal. So, interestingly, it would appear that that satellite dish, the ironically RA2 relay antenna, cannot be relayed. It must have direct line of sight with Kerbal. It appears that only the little communicron, the little flat antenna that the probes have, they're about the only ones that can relay, which, I don't know, seems odd. You can bounce signals off everything, so. But anyway, that's not important. The important part is landing here. So if I bring up our ScanSat data and say I would like to know where, let's do water, shall we? That there, X marks the spot, looks like the best place to land. I think I've gone through this before, haven't I? Or was pretty good there. 4%. It gets. I think the higher up you go, the better the ore. Mind you, the ore's pretty good there, but there's no water there. So, what about over here? Um, 8% ore, 2% water. That's 6% water. I'm gonna go for somewhere here, I think. Yeah, somewhere where the ore is high. Why not? Let's not overthink that. Let's not overthink that at all. Let's instead add a maneuver node, which I don't want to do... right. Get rid of that maneuver node. There we go. Add a maneuver node here. That would be very stupid, wouldn't it? That's not what we want to do. We want to put one about there at Periaps. And bring that in. Show me the ore again. Actually, show me the water, because that wasn't in one place. And bring it in, and also we want to... well, we want to actually aim up a bit, so I need to bring that across somewhat. Do that. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Aim somewhere around there. Remembering, of course, to cut the thrust, and we need to detach that tank there. Goodbye, tank. Goodbye to you. And remember, of course, that the engine is on our top now. So I need to control the craft from upside down, which I'm not entirely sure how to do. I can't control it from the engine. So there'll be no maneuver marker on the other side of the compass, and you can see there's just no marker here. So in order to get the exact opposite way, I'm guessing if I point in roughly the right direction where this blue arrow is, and eventually it'll do a flip. I want to go the other way. And eventually it will say that the quickest way to get to the marker will be pointing down. Like that. So that there is roughly where I want to be finding the engine. I'm guessing, because yeah, that's a weird one. So first port of call is going to be the other probe. Let's warp around to the other side of the planet. Of course, we're not going to have a signal here for firing the engines if this relay can't be bounced. Okay, this is going to get complicated. Very complicated very quickly. So let's switch back over to that. There we are. This apparently has no electric charge. Nope, we're almost out of electric charge. Why is that? Where is the sun? The sun is on the planet, but we should be fine. Walk round we go. Oh, no more electric charge. Yep, that's fine. Don't worry. There we are. That boosts the batteries back up. So we'll warp to the next manoeuvre and fire the engines here and get this to where it needs to go. And again, here we are. Almost at our specific point. Go around here. Some more. It doesn't quite like this for some reason. I think, yeah, we're a bit high. That's the problem here. So I'll have to wait until I'm up here somewhere where I have to wait till I'm lined up with it and then fire the engine again to try and get it lined up perfectly. It doesn't quite like what I've done here. However, time was caught up with us and that will have to wait until the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Hope to see you again next time, and as always, of course, have fun.